So you have watched way too many videos on YouTube and you are still not profitable, or you are at a state where you are break even, you are not making any money, nor you're losing any. So I guarantee you that after watching this video, you will become a consistently profitable trader. If this video doesn't help you, dislike the video, leave a negative comment. But here's the catch. If this video works for you, if this video helps you in any way, all I ask you to do is hit that subscribe button and hit that like button and leave your positive feedback. Okay. So before I even start with the strategy, I want to show you the backtest results. Now this is a very small data, but I know this works in the long run. I've done my backtesting. This is the strategy that I've known since 2021. This has been working for me every single day. I have not shared this strategy on YouTube before. This is a brand new strategy. All the previous videos that I've uploaded on YouTube are different variations of each strategy, but this one is a brand new strategy, okay, that I'm gonna reveal today. And this is gonna make you consistently profitable. So I tested this strategy, retested this strategy, right, on two pairs and one asset. So the total return is around 48,000 on a 100K account. Now this is showing wrong, okay? This is showing 348 because I used two pairs and one asset. So that equates to around $300K, right? So, but the overall return is around $48,000 on 100K account. We had a 63% win rate and the average RR was 2 RR, and you can see the steady graph. It has a 63% win rate by taking 50 trades, two pairs and one asset from November. I think it's from November, actually from January till this date, which is August 25th or 26th. Okay. So let's get on and start with the strategy itself. All right. So number one rule is we have to look at the economic calendar. Okay. Now this is going to come to you as a surprise, but we are only going to trade when there is a high impact news. We are only going to trade after the high impact news or on the day when there is a high impact news. We cannot trade on a day when there is no high impact news. Okay. This is rule number one. We have to look at the forest factory. I'll get into that later in the video, but keep this thing in mind that we are going to use economic calendar as our roadmap. Okay. Number two is we have to look at the new weekly candle opening price. This is very important. We have to look at the opening price of the weekly candle. So assume that these candles here are weekly candles. So this is week, this is second week, third week, and then this is the new week. When the new week starts, right, you have to mark out the opening price of that weekly candle. Okay. Now, once you have the weekly candle marked out, right, once you have the opening price of the new weekly candle marked out, you have to drop down to the 4-hour time frame. You simply drop down to 4-hour time frame. Once you have the opening price of the weekly candle, you drop down to the 4-hour time frame, and then to the left of it, so this is the opening price, look at the left side. You don't want to look at the right side. Look at the old lows and highs. So any low or a high is a liquidity pool. So we want to look for a manipulation. We want to look for a liquidity sweep on the 4-hour time frame on one of the lows or one of the highs. Okay. So this is the opening price, right? And remember one more thing. So we have the opening price here, right? You want to look for a manipulation when there's a high impact news day, on the high impact news day. So typically that is going to happen on Tuesday, right? Or Wednesday. 75% of the time you will get the manipulation on Tuesday, and that is going to be the low of the week or a high of the week. The reason why we trade the high impact news days is because that is when you get the manipulations. That is when there's a injection of high volume into the markets, guys. This is when you should be looking to take your trades. Okay. So we're going to use the forest factory, right? We're going to look for, so we are, first of all, remember this thing, we are only going to trade two things on this. Okay. We can either trade EURUSD, NAS 100, or GBP USD. You can also trade gold. Okay, you can also trade gold, but it's really up to you. I highly suggest you use EURUSD, NAS 100, or S&P 500, okay? Or even US 30, okay? So these are the best pairs and assets to trade for this strategy, and they have over 60% win rate, guys. This is insane, okay? So where were we? When you have a high impact news, you have to look for a purge on the previous week's low or high, okay? So this is the new week's opening price, right? Then once you have the opening price marked out, you have to drop down to the 4-hour time frame. Look for any low or high below the opening price or above the opening price, okay? So essentially, most of the time we want to be sellers above the opening price and we want to be buyers below the opening price. So on the 4-hour time frame, once you have a liquidity sweep, and that when you have a high impact news day, right, you will get the manipulation when there's a high impact news, okay? Once you have the high impact news, we are going to trade after the high impact news is over, okay? So when you're looking at your USD, you have to look for Euro and USD high impact news. So if any one of them has a high impact news on a specific day, which could be most of the time Tuesday or Wednesday, right? You want to trade on that day after the high impact news is over. So when the high impact news starts, you're going to get a manipulation. Then once you have a manipulation on the 4-hour time frame, once you have a liquidity sweep on the previous low or previous high, you drop down to 15 minutes time frame. So 15 minutes time frame is where you have to drop down to, okay? The purge happens, you drop down to 15 minutes time frame. Now you're simply looking for a market structure shift. Very simple. So you're going to see something like that. On the 15 minutes time frame, you get a market structure shift. Now your entry is going to be during the kill zone hours. So that is going to be your London or New York session, okay? Mostly it's going to be New York, but it can happen on London as well. So essentially, when you get the tap, you take your entry and you go for 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 or the closest liquidity pool that you see, okay? We want to be in the markets and we want to be out of the markets as soon as possible. Now, what happens is you don't get an entry, right? And the next day starts. Yeah, so the next day starts. Now, here's the catch. You have to look for a continuation purge, okay? You cannot take your entry from the recent fair value gap. You have to look for a 15 minutes liquidity purge, right? A purge on the low or this low. And then you have to look for a market structure shift on 15 minutes time frame once again. And then you can take your entry like that. If you don't get your entry on the same day, right? Once you have the market structure shift and you don't get your entry from the extreme fair value gap, right? Or an auto block, then you have to look for this continuation purge method where you have, these lows here. You want to see a purge on these, and then you want to see a market structure shift, take your entry, and you can go for 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. Very simple, guys. All we do is look at the economic calendar. If we have a high impact news day, right, we only have to look for a manipulation. Once the manipulation occurs, it is best to trade after the high impact news, okay? 80 to 90% of the time, I will trade after the high impact news is over. But let's say that you get a manipulation on the high impact news day, right? And then you get a clean shift in the market structure and the news is far away, like during the New York time. You can still take your entry because we are only looking for a manipulation on the high impact news day. And mostly these manipulations are going to happen once the high impact news is started, right? So that is essentially going to be at 8:30 or 3 or somewhere around 5, right? You have to look at the forest factory and I'm going to show you how to use that in examples. So don't worry about anything at all. So simply look for a manipulation, right, on the previous low or high. Once you have the opening price on the weekly, right, drop down to the 4-hour time frame, mark out the previous low and high, right? So there is going to be a low below the opening price. There is going to be a high above the opening price, right? So make sure you mark out the lows below the opening price and highs above the opening price. Once you get a purge on the 4-hour time frame, now we have to look for a market structure shift on the 15-minute time frame, right? Once you have a market structure shift, you are simply looking to take your entry from the extreme fair value gap or an auto block, or you can even try breaker block. So essentially, let's say there's a breaker block, and also inside this breaker, there's a fair value gap. So this is breaker, and there's a fair value gap. Then that is a high probability trade setup as well. So very simple, guys. 4 rules: economic calendar as a roadmap, weekly open, high, low, close, mark at the opening price, look for a manipulation on the 4-hour time frame, and then we take our entry. Very simple. Let's move on to the examples, and that is going to clear every single thing, guys. All right, guys. So here is an example number 1. So as you can see, I'm looking at Euro USD on the weekly time frame, of course. So first of all, let's study this weekly candle. Okay, so I have marked out the opening price of this weekly candle. So let's go to the 4-hour time frame here. Okay, so this is how it looks like. We have the opening price of the week. Okay, so now look to the left side of the opening price. Where are the liquidity pools, right? So we have a high over here, and then we have this low over here. Now, once you have marked out the low and the high, the liquidity pool, you have to go to the FXREPLAY.com and use their economic calendar. Now, look at when is the high impact news. Okay, so for this week, what we had was a high impact news on Thursday, right? So that is August 10th. So we will be looking for a manipulation on the old lows and highs on Thursday. We don't care about these days. Okay, we are looking for a manipulation on Thursday, right, or Friday. But we want to mostly avoid Friday because the week is almost over. So Thursday is when we're going to see a manipulation. So over here, where you can see we had a purge on this low, right, on Tuesday, but there was no news event. There was no high impact news. So this was a fake manipulation move. Okay, this right here is when I go, this is Thursday, right? We have the old low here. So we are not looking at this low. We are not looking at this high. We are not looking at this low, because these are the lows and highs created after the opening price. We do not focus on that. We focus on the old lows and highs that were created before the opening price, before the opening of a new week. So this, and this. Okay, so on Thursday, you can see that is when we had the high impact news. So that is when we're going to look for a manipulation on the old highs and lows. This is when we get the manipulation move, right? We take out this high over here. So now once we had taken out the high, this is when we take out the high, right? Then we drop down to the 15-minute time frame, and we are simply looking for a market structure shift. So this is a higher high, higher low, right? And then a higher high. So marking this out like that, we have to wait for a body closure below this low. So that gives us a confirmed market structure shift. Then there is a fair value gap, right? And you take your entry, put your stop here, and you can see that it worked out perfectly. We had a beautiful expansion, or you can say distribution to the downside. And for the whole day and the rest of the day, the price kept on going down. So this is, like, honestly, one of my favorite, if not the favorite strategies that I use every single day, every single week, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this example. You can see that we use the economic calendar as our roadmap. We want to look for manipulations when there's a high impact news, and we mostly try to take trades after the high impact news is over. So keep that in mind. Okay, entry of the extreme fair value gap, right, or an auto block, and we target. So you can see that it just kept on going down, and it took out this low here. So beautiful trade right off the bat. Let's move on to the next example now. All right, guys, so here is an example number 2. I'm looking at USD again on the weekly time frame, and I'm going to study this weekly candle here. So we have marked out the opening price. Let's go to the 4 hours time frame. This is the opening price, right? This right here. And look at the old highs and lows to the left side of the opening price. So a high above the opening price, which is right here, and a low below the opening price, which is going to be this low right here. Now, once you have marked out the highs and lows on the 4 hour time frame, after marking out the opening price on the weekly, right, you want to go to the Forex Factory and look for high impact news for that week. So when do we have a high impact news for a USD or Euro pair? So on Tuesday, you can see we have a high impact news, right? So let's go. Now this is going to be a very unique example, and that is going to clear a lot of questions. So on Tuesday, you can see we want to see a manipulation of this low or this high here, but there is no manipulation on Tuesday. Okay, so now we have to look for another high impact news day. So when is a high impact news day after Tuesday? Because we can still look for opportunities, right? So on Wednesday, we have another high impact news for USD, right, at 8:15. So now we can look for manipulation setups. And this is when the Wednesday starts, right? And you can see on Wednesday, we take out the old low. So let's go to the 15-minute time frame. Now this is when this example is going to get very, very interesting. So all I'm looking for is a manipulation event to occur on the high impact news, okay? The entry does not necessarily need to happen on the high impact news. All I'm looking for is a manipulation on the high impact news day. So over here, you can see we have a manipulation on Wednesday, right? A beautiful manipulation to the downside. We took out this level. Now we are simply looking for a market structure shift. So in order for me to consider market structure shift at this point is going to be this high over here. So what happens then is we have the next day starting, right? So we take out this level, come back and take out this level again, and then we have a shift in the market structure once again. And from here onwards, we have the fair value gap, right? We simply take our entry from here, put our stop right below this low, and kaboom. You can see the expansion or distribution to the upside. A very clean expansion, guys. This is honestly like the holy grail, if that makes sense. Okay, this works like a charm. It's not gonna work every single day. Every single time, but it has over 60% win rate using 1 to 2 RR. That is enough to pass your prop from challenges, make you consistently profitable trader. Okay. So yeah, guys, let me give you guys one more example and then I will end the video. All right, guys, so here is the last example. I'm looking at GBP USD on the weekly, of course, and we are going to look at the bullish expansion or distribution, you can say, in this example. Before I move to the example, I want to talk about my mentorship, the course, and the Discord server. For just $200 one-time payment, you get a private Discord server where I share my own trades, basically signals, monthly course update with new videos, weekly Q&A, and more. Then we got the awesome community of successful traders. If you are a beginner, I got the SMC basics or ICT basics, you can say, just if you're just starting out, right? So it is for beginners and advanced traders. You go to the basic trading strategies section. These are basic trading strategies that require no daily bias whatsoever, right? You can trade them without daily bias. Then we got the ICT essentials here. These are must to know if you want to become a successful trader, right? We got the silver bullet and all. And then we got the advanced trading strategies. This one is my favorite section, and this is like the best section. Then we got some proof here. I recently passed a couple of more challenges on my Instagram, but I don't want to add it here because it's going to make the website look very clumsy. Then we got some proof that students passing the challenges, some proof here as well. It is not mandatory, but if you join the course, it's going to help you a lot. But of course, the YouTube videos alone can make you profitable. All right, so let's move on to the example. So over here, we're going to study this weekly candle, right? This weekly opening price is right here. So let's go to the 4 hours time frame. This is going to be an interesting example as well. So this right here is the opening price. So we want to mark out the low and the high to the left side. We want to mark out the high above the opening price. We want to mark out the low below the opening price, right? So over here, you can see we took out the high, right? This high over here. Now let's go to the Forex Factory and look for our high impact news. So on Tuesday, interestingly, there's no high impact news. So, and I'm looking at GBP and USD trade newses, okay? On Tuesday, we had the manipulation, but there's no high impact news, so we are not going to trade this move, right? Let's go here. On Wednesday, we also have a news. So we have taken out this old high. So now we have this old high that we should put our focus on, right? And this old low is still intact. So we have taken out this. We still want to wait, okay? So on Wednesday, right, we also have a news, I believe. Yes, we also have a news on Wednesday, high impact news. But you can see we failed to take out anything. However, On Thursday this time, you can see we have another high impact news. And on Thursday, we take out this old high over here, right above the opening price, the old high over here. This is when we take out the high. Let's go to the 15-minute time frame and study what happened. So we take out the high, and then we have a clean market structure shift, right, indicated by these fractal indicators. Go to indicators, type in fractals, and by Rachel T is your indicator. That is what I'm using. A market structure shift and a fair value gap, right? A beautiful entry and the take profit level hit. This is all the liquidity pool that you could have targeted, or just go for 1 to 2. I really do hope, guys, that this video is going to change your lives. Okay, I'm giving it away for absolutely free because I love to teach. Okay, a lot of people ask me why every single day you have a new trading strategy. The reason why I upload these strategies is because I love to teach, and I want to teach every single thing that I know. I want to teach all the concepts, all the old concepts that I learned years ago, so I don't forget them. That is beneficial for me and for you as well. I just want to teach because it solidifies all the concepts that I have in my mind, right? I do not want to forget these concepts. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next weekend. Take care. Goodbye. Mwah.